Okay, so I haven't done this in a while and I can't remember how I structure these book reviews, but I finally read a Libba Bray novel and I thought I would talk about it with you guys. So recently I just read and finished A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, and this is, I think, one of her very first books that she's ever written. I know that her other series, the Diviner series, is a lot more popular, especially here on BookTube, but I tried reading that and I couldn't get into it because I think when I listened to the audiobook, I think there was like multiple perspectives, and I'm a little picky with those kind of books. So yeah, let me know if that is multiple perspectives. But this one is really right up my alley because this is historical fiction slash slightly supernatural paranormal. First up, I'll give you guys a little bit of a synopsis. This is the first book in the Gemma Doyle trilogy, and it follows a girl named Gemma Doyle who lives in India with her parents in the very beginning of the novel, but then is shipped off to an all-girls boarding school in England after her mother passed away, and her dad kind of is overwhelmed by grief and really can't take care of himself and Gemma. So she's shipped off to a boarding school, and there she tries to settle in with all the girls in her school while also experiencing really strange, mysterious visions. Along with these visions comes another equally mysterious boy that follows her around. So this story basically follows Gemma as she tries to uncover the mystery of these visions and also what really happened to her mother. Okay, so I really want to talk about the characters first because I think that's where I really fell in love with this book. Gemma Doyle as a protagonist really surprised me, especially in a young adult novel, and also especially because it is sort of supposed to be set in a Victorian type period. She is very strong-willed, stubborn, very blunt at times, and judgmental, but at the same time I think she's very self-aware and very insecure about certain things, and I really like the way Libba Bray has balanced that in her personality because compared to a lot of other protagonists that I've read from who have very similar personality traits, I didn't find Gemma annoying to listen to when she went on about her judgmental thoughts or, like, you know, her sarcasm and her bluntness towards everyone. I didn't find that distracting or annoying, which I really like, and I don't know what it is about the way Libba Bray writes it, but it's a really nice blend. The other thing that really surprises me about her is how open she is about the topic of sex. There's this particular passage in the book where she kind of talks about her feelings and kind of her thoughts, and that really surprised me, especially because this is a young adult book, and a lot of young adult books that I've read, that topic is seen as taboo, especially when it's coming from the female characters, and I don't exactly know why that is still a stereotype, but that's kind of one of the reasons why I love this book so much, is because it's so open and it's so kind of like, yeah, well, you know, teenage girls think about these things too, and it's okay. It's seen as okay. It's not seen as something that, like, she feels guilty about. It's just kind of a thing that happens. The other characters that we get to see a lot of are the three girls that Gemma comes into contact with when she goes into this boarding school. So we have Anne, who is her timid, soft-spoken roommate. There's also Felicity, who is the confident, charming girl in the school, and she's kind of like one of the popular girls in the school. And the third girl that we get to see is Pippa, who is Felicity's beautiful and romantic best friend. One of the things I loved when reading this book is how much this story focuses on female friendships and how Libba Bray explores that, because I personally have a connection with this story, especially the all-girls school kind of deal because I went to an all-girls school, and I really like the way the friendships were portrayed, because it's a really realistic kind of view of, yes, sometimes females can be kind of mean to each other and it can be a toxic friendship, but it can also be a really strong bond that these girls can have. And I really like how fragile those two sides of the coin can be. The plot of this book is basically a mystery, and it starts around the time when Gemma gets her visions, but also when she uncovers a secret diary that belonged to one of the girls from this boarding school who died in a fire. Being the stubborn and curious character that she is, she starts to ask a lot of questions and she just wants to know more. It's also, I would say, provoked by this mysterious boy that I mentioned in the synopsis, who keeps telling her, to be careful with her visions and how dangerous it is. So the mystery within this book, I felt, was really well done in kind of hiding it from the reader. I'm usually someone who can predict what happens next, and I can see how things will play out usually in books, but I couldn't really understand where the story would go, so that was really exciting for me. I did, however, find that some of the little kind of mysteries to be a little bit predictable, but it wasn't the overall big mystery, which I thought was fine with me. So for the first book in the series, I was pretty happy with it because I liked the way it ended. It didn't end like it ended a first chapter of a book and then you have to kind of move on to the second or the third. It ended in sort of like it's just the beginning of the story, and I really like that because it gives me more motivation to pick up the second book. So with all that being said, I would give this book a 7 out of 10 baseball bats. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day, and let me know if you've finished this trilogy or if you've read this book and what your thoughts on it are down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.